This episode is sponsored by Mixlore. To episode 23 of the Board Game Geek podcast, where we geek out about board games, the mechanisms behind them, and the people who create them. I'm your host, Candice Harris, and I am so excited and just big smile on my face to be here with my good pal, Rob Oren from Rob's Tabletop World, who is just another fellow lover and very enthusiastic gamer, like just loves all different types of board games like I do. Like we're both super omni gamers. Hey Rob, how is it going?
Well, my very dear friend. And you know what a lot of people don't realize is that you and I go back a very, very long way. When you got into this, well, should we call it a business or a profession or whatever you want to call it?
Sure.
Okay, we'll call it a business. But when you got into business, I got to watch you come on board and develop. And I said, oh my goodness. And I don't care what anybody says. I said, this is a superstar.
Oh, thanks,
if
Rob.
You remember, we sat and we had dinner together. Okay. And we sat together and we could have talked all night long.
Yes.
For sure. And I just, since that time, we've been pretty close friends. We just haven't had a chance to talk as much as we would like to.
Exactly. We had a BGG retreat back in January of 2020, just before the pandemic. It was 2020.
It was right before the pandemic.
Yep, exactly. It was right before the pandemic. And Rob and I just like clicked. I remember walking through the BGG warehouse, like checking out all these, like the massive game library and looking at all these old war games, being like, oh, like, what is that? What is that? And Rob's telling me all about them. And yeah, we just bonded and clicked. And sadly, we haven't had time to like do more together. Because I know we started playing, we were trying to do a Too Many Bones campaign together.
Yeah.
Which that first game was fun.
Oh, God. And we wanted to do more, but if you remember, I got really sick. Yeah. And I came down with COVID very badly. And I've still suffered to this day from long COVID, believe it or not. And it has been such a struggle to just try to keep things going and doing everything that I'm doing. But, it wasn't for, us. Occasionally on Twitter, I'll send you some pictures or something like that.
I love it. Yeah.
And we just had, this is like one of the first times that we've had that we can sit down. And before we even went on the air, I think we talked like an hour and change, which could be a whole podcast onto itself.
Yes, we were talking quite a bit before I hit the record button, just catching up because we haven't seen each other. We've just kind of been connected on Twitter recently, it seems. But still, it's good to hear what you've been playing and keep up with your channel too.
It's a funny thing. You don't realize how much you miss somebody until you start talking and you go, damn, I miss talking to her all the time.
I know. And we never get to like see each other at the same conventions. But one day I'll make it out to like Dice Tower East or just Florida in general.
Yeah, that was the first convention I went since 2020. Because of everything that's going on and everything like that. But, and I only went for like a day or two, and I was going to try to go to Gen Con this year, but it just didn't fall that way. I'm just not well enough yet.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, next year, you and I, okay, I don't care what we have to do. All right.
Yes. I love it.
What I have to stomp on, what bodies have to be thrown, we will get together. And I promise you that. 2024
Awesome. Yeah, we will make it happen. We'll both make it happen. But yeah, so Gen Con, speaking of Gen Con is starting a week from today, the day we're recording. And this episode, it's coming up. And this episode is going to air or drop that Friday of Gen Con. So we're just a week before Gen Con. And obviously, like, like everybody else, starting to kind of like think about what we're like looking forward to from this year's Gen Con. So today we're going to talk about Gen Con 2023 releases that we're most excited to play.
And who better to talk about it with than your favorite person, the human highlight reel himself, right?
Exactly. You are I'm so curious to know what you're excited about. If we have games in common, or if we have different games and you're going to put something on my radar.
I'm going to put some things on your radar because I found out about some things and I've been able to get my hands on a few things.
Ooh, I love this.
That we're going to talk a little bit about, and I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay. I love this.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Because we didn't talk about this beforehand.
I know. We have no idea what we're about to say to each other
because
here.
I always tell you, we do things organically because that's how you have the best show.
I love it. Well, before we start talking about Gen Con 2023 releases we're pumped for, I'd love to hear what you've been playing lately, Rob. So let's jump into fresh plays.
Okay, most recently, I have gone back in time and started playing something I forgot that I loved so much. And it really has been forgotten about, and I don't know why. And that's Awakening the Bear, Storms of Steel from our good friends over at Academy Games.
Oh.
And when you think about the first edition, and this is where everybody kind of gets a little bit lost, is there's the first edition, then there's the second edition, which kind of bridges both, but then the third edition came out where they have perfected this. And one of the things that Uwe, and I spoke to him recently, had told me about the game that really fascinated me and made me go back to it. Mm-hmm. And start going through it. And when I took it out, I looked at it and I go, oh my God, this is beautiful. Why am I not playing this more? And one of the things that really made me think was he has this particular dice, okay, which if you were going into combat, okay, you're not going to run across the field, guns a-blazing, shirt torn off, headband and all that other stuff. Okay. That's not how real war works. And what this dice does is kind of gauges the morale in a way that you go, okay, we're going to move forward, but somebody might spot us or see us and we might freeze up in that moment. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if somebody shoots at you, you don't automatically shoot back.
Right.
Okay. What happens is you are going to get down to the ground. And Uwe always said this, if there was a tin can on the ground, like a ginger ale can, okay, you would try to hide behind that if somebody shooting at you. You want to hide behind anything, a blade of grass, anything that you could. And the way these rolls affect that and make you feel that, it has this realism that is untouchable. Not to mention, it's some of the most beautiful components and maps that you are ever going to play. And listen, you and I are huge GMT fans, okay? Yeah. There is nothing that they can do wrong. Jean, Rachel, if you're listening to this, I'm telling you right now, I love you guys. I write her all the time. I send her all my reviews and everything and everything like that. And they have come out with some amazing stuff. But there's just something that Uwe gets. And this particular war theater really works, and I'm rediscovering it, and I've been playing the heck out of it. How about you? What do you got to counteract that, young lady?
Well, first, let me just chime in for a second, because I actually have played I think, the very first scenario of Awakening the Bear, the third edition. Uwe showed it to me at a convention once, and I was really impressed by the counters and like just the overall production of it. But yeah, the gameplay is really cool, and I have that game now, and I have the solo. I haven't tried it yet. There's a solo expansion you can play.
You need to, and the firefight that you create your own scenarios too. That's another one that you need to try out. To go one further and to go back when these games originally came out, you saw the trays that he has that you put all the counters in.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, the different, dungeon crawls and all that stuff, use those trays now. He was ahead of his time with how to put a game away properly.
Yeah.
And add that, and where you can keep things where you need it, and you can figure where they all are, get them out for the next scenario, quick setup, quick teardown.
Yeah, well, you were making me want to revisit this one, because I definitely I really dug it like when I played that first scenario. But like you and me, we get so many games, we buy so many games, we get review copies, we play so many games. I haven't gotten back to it, but now that you've revisited it, I need to too.
See, we're going to put this podcast on pause, and then we're going to go.
And then we'll come back.
We'll come back in the future.
We're
back, everybody, and how you doing? We just
So that's Awakening the Bear 3rd edition. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so recently, Rob, have you ever gotten into 18xx games? Let me ask you that first.
A little bit, but you're going to enlighten me, aren't you?
Just a little bit. A couple episodes ago, I did an 18xx episode with my good friend Ben Mandelker, and we were just kind of talking about how we love and adore 18xx games, and how, if you kind of treat them like party games almost, like they can be a lot of fun, and there's definitely a lot of like richness and depth that come out of these games. But I totally get why they're hard for a lot of people to get into. There are lots of reasons. But after that episode, I happened to ask Scott Peterson about 18MS Mississippi, which someone posted a comment about and was saying, this is a really great intro game because it only takes an hour and a half to play. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Because like the current intro game that I have is like usually 18 Chesapeake, which is like 3.5 hours, which of course not everybody is going to be down.
You can bake a turkey in that time.
Exactly. But so anyways, it led to Scott Peterson, me finding out that he doesn't live too far away, and we kind of coordinated a little game day together, and he brought a pre-production copy of 21 Moon, which is an 18xx game designed by Jonas Jones that like where you are running, instead of train companies, you are running mining corporations on the moon. And I think this game is going to be more appealing to people who don't love the like straight up train themes. It has like a very, it has like a different look and feel to it. And it had just some like fresh twists. Like one of the things is like usually in an 18xx game, you'll have trains and you can only have a certain amount of trains for each company. And in this game, you have transports. So it's kind of like thematic, but you are also, instead of just running your route from, one of your stations on the board, there's this spaceport space that has all of the companies. And then you also have a separate like home base space, and everything you're doing, you can do twice. Like you can lay track from your home base. You can also lay track from the spaceport. And then you have transports that can run from the spaceport, and a separate section of your player board with transports that you can run from your other base. And they kind of like function differently. And usually there's another thing that like usually in 18xx games, there's like a stock round. You alternate between stock rounds and operating rounds. And in this case, there's also a corporation round where each of your corps are going to get to do something, which is usually just buy or sell a stock. And the twist is you as the player during a stock round, you can do a swap and swap a stock with one of your corporations that you're running. So you could do some funny business where you basically have the company buy an expensive stock, you buy something cheap that you don't really care about, and then at some point do a swap so that you're getting the more valuable stock in your personal portfolio. There's also like something where on either end of the boards you can run to these kind of like off-board spaces, and they have like thematic names. Like there's a power plant, and then there's a research station. But on the left side of the board, there are two sections that are purple. On the right side, there are two sections that are yellow. If you're able to run a route, meaning you have track and you are not interrupted by anybody's little stations, you can run a route from one side of the board to the other. You're going to be able to grab one of these or maybe two of these special tokens that are going to, at the end of the game, boost your share value of your corporation. And these things are limited, so not everybody can get one. So you're kind of like racing to try to make sure you can connect to both sides and have the infrastructure to be able to run that route, have the proper transports that you need to run that route from east to west so you can get these. And I didn't find out until late in the game that they were limited. And I was like, oh crap, I'm the only one that's not going to get like 3 of these tokens. But I was like, but I love that it's in there because I love those kind of objectives that you're like racing and competing for. But anyway, it was a really cool 18xx game, and I'm excited for it to come out. I think it's going to be a good one for people who are trying to like dip their toes in. Probably more so if you're a heavy gamer and you want to get an 18xx, like this could be a good first one to start because it looks pretty, it feels different. It has some fun things going, and there are a set number of rounds. So it's only probably going to be about 4 hours max or so.
Oh, wow.
Whereas like, yeah, it's not bad. That's not bad to us.
I no, and I never mind leaving something on the table for a while. That's for doggone.
Yeah. But I thought it was really cool. And I backed it on or pre-ordered it from the All Aboard Games, I guess Wave 5 games that they have coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to play it more. And I would say, yeah, like I'll have to, whenever we get together or maybe online at some point.
I can't see why not.
You to some 18xx.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Because, there aren't many that play good with two.
I think this one came out with a couple that were really good. And boy, I just can't. I'm trying to think
1848 Australia they did, which is awesome.
That was fantastic. Yeah. And I was blown away by that. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I really have this, affection for it. The problem is finding somebody to play it with, number one. Okay.
Yeah.
And number two, getting it to the table, which is always a difficult thing.
Yeah.
But
totally.
It's, a couple of those things, but this, you add Mars, which is a different feel.
Yeah.
And I'm in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And also, like the other thing which I could see being a barrier for you too is like, when like a lot of the like war games that we like, you can play by yourself even.
Oh God,
so
yeah.
Even if it's hard to find somebody, but like there is, I think 1862. That might be the only one that I know of that you can play solo. But
I do have that one too. Now that I say
it seems really crazy.
It's somewhere in that massive hill up there.
Anyways, that is 21 Moon. I think it'll be out like later this year. But
wow. I definitely want to check that out now.
Cool. What else have you been playing lately, Rob?
Well, recently, I don't know how much you know about Shadows of Brimstone.
Not much. I've heard of it.
Okay, you heard of it. Well, It is a game it is a dungeon crawl game, and it has a unbelievable history. The original box sets were Swamps of Death. Okay. And what it was is this Wild West, but you were searching for this thing called Darkstone. Okay.
Okay.
And you would go into these mines and try to get it. And there's all these kind of demons and creatures and stuff like that. And then the game started to evolve a bit, where you had portals and you would go into different universes. Okay.
Ooh.
And, you would go to the future. You would go down to the depths of magma monsters and stuff like that, outer space, spaceships, derelict spaceships, and all this other things as Western characters, the different Western characters, and then come back, go to town, try to develop your characters and go back and do it again, fighting these unbelievable bosses and stuff like that. Recently, they have released a new thing called Shadows of Brimstone Adventures, which is totally compatible with this unbelievable universe. Okay. Because usually a dungeon crawl, you would play it and then there'll be a couple of expansions and maybe some replayability, but that's it. This thing never ends. You can never, I don't think you could ever play it all. I have tried. But they've just come out with Gates of Valhalla, which is a Viking theme.
Cool.
Along at the same time, Swamps. Oh goodness me! Valley of the Serpent King. It's right there, which is the Spanish Main. Okay.
Wow.
And again, you have these tiles, and you have to go through and complete all these missions. But now there's a couple of different twists and things like that. Okay. You have team up abilities and things like that, and you develop these characters. Now you can mix your cowboys with your Vikings and go on an adventure and face all kinds of things. Or maybe, the Spanish Main. And it is just so wide open and what it does. And it's a game that I have a complete weakness for. That every time they come out with something new, I have to have it.
You have to get it.
Okay. And it takes up a good chunk of area, all the stuff I have. I mean, just this one shelf here that I have here is all the new stuff. And then I've got shelves that have all the old stuff. And I've painted until I can't see. But it is a game that when you take a character, it becomes very thematic and very personal, because you take that character and you go on this adventure and you don't know where you're going.
That's cool.
It could be anywhere.
That sounds fun.
And it tells a different story every time about this character and how it goes through all these different variations. Well, we went down and we were transported to this robot world, and we ended up, and somehow we got out of there, and we made a certain amount of money, and I got mutated, and now I have an extra arm, and it's just out there, and it's just something that I've really been enjoying. The latest release, as a matter of fact, that will be at Gen Con, and I pulled that out of my list of Gen Con games.
Okay.
To talk about it, because I just had too many Gen Con games I wanted to talk about.
Nice.
So, and I have been playing all of these a lot, and I had to pick one that had to sit outside. And then when we go talk about the 5 Gen Con games that we're going to talk about, now I made sure that I covered everything I've been playing.
I love it. So with Shadows of Brimstone, what would you recommend if somebody was like new to starting it?
Well, any of the starter sets will work. Okay. And that is Swamps of Death, City of Ancients. And you can actually just go with the 2 new sets, or you could buy one of the new sets. Well, maybe I like, the swamps of Florida more than I like the cold of Viking country there. It really depends on what you want to venture through. The Valley of the Serpent King, there is a fortress that you have to enter So the tiles are double-sided. One is a jungle type of theme. And when you flip it over, there is a thing that you can have an actual fortress that you'll go through.
Wow.
And, the
That's
same
cool.
thing with each set, they have something on the other side. You can go through and end up in another dimension.
That's cool.
But, Swamps of Death, City of Ancients, Gates of Valhalla, and Valley of the Serpent King are your 4 starters. Any one of them will do it for you.
Cool.
And then you could build out from there, because the expansions are just, you have the Lost Army that you can go through. You can go through the Magma City. I'm looking one right now, Blasted Waste, where you go and it's kind of a steampunk kind of thing. And
so
one
cool.
more I forgot. There's one more starter set that if you like feudal Japan, it's called Forbidden Fortress. And I've done that. I've mixed a couple samurais with a character that was like Clint Eastwood from the old Drifter movies.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued by this.
Oh, it's really special, and I've been covering it on the channel for the last month or two, and just really kind of getting everybody ready to go to Gen Con and buy it out.
Yeah, and are you playing it solo, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, solo. Okay.
Yes. Nowadays, out here on the farm, out in the middle of nowhere, there's a lot of solo play, kid.
A lot of solo plays. Yeah, I'll have to check this out, but I'm actually hoping to start Frosthaven soon. So I think that's gonna suck up that window of time of exploration and adventure game kind of thing.
I just
nice.
And I'm like, boy, yeah, and I'm looking right at it. Then again, I'm looking at everything around here.
Yeah, so many games.
I'm surrounded.
So I'm pretty sure, I think you have played the next game that I'm going to talk about, that I played for the first time last weekend, and that our good friend, well, I've actually never met Ricky Royal in person, but good friend on the internet and fan of everything he does as well. But at some point, I don't remember if it was the beginning of this year or late last year or something, Ricky Royal tweeted about this game, and there was a picture or maybe a video, and I was like, what is that? I need to play it. And that game is called 1815 Scum of the Earth. And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is a game designed by Tristan Hall, and it's published by All or Nothing Productions. You can play it with 1 to 2 players, but it's an asymmetric, competitive, tactical card game on the Battle of Waterloo. And the thing that was super appealing to me when I initially saw it was I was like, this looks like an LCG combined with a war game. And I love LCGs. I love Lord of the Rings, the living card game. I love Arkham Horror. I love Android Netrunner, Ashes Reborn, Flesh and Blood. I love card games that are very strategic and do a lot with the environment that they set you in and what you can do with cards. So I was off the bat drawn into this game, and I reached out to All or Nothing for a review copy, and they were kind enough to send me the game. And also there's a playmat that goes with it, which you don't need, but I think it definitely enhances the experience of playing it, because you have the area that you're playing, you have these 3 different frontier cards, and players are going to sit on either side of these 3 frontier cards, and you're going to be kind of deploying your units and characters, and you have a leader into 3 different rows. So think of it picture a 3x3 grid on either side of these 3 frontier cards, which we're going to be kind of competing over. But the idea is you have these asymmetric decks that have characters, tactic cards, event cards, and you're going to be deploying your units and characters on the board. but the cards have a cost to them. And so there's a whole like really tricky hand management thing where you're going to want to play every card in your hand, but you can't afford to, because especially at the beginning of the game, the only way you can pay for cards is by discarding cards. So it's like discarding a card gives you 1 point of resource. So if I want to like play a infantry unit that costs 3, I have to discard 3 cards from my hand, and you only start with I think like 6 in your hand. So it is brutal. But the cool thing is, another thing I like about this game a lot is that some of the cards you deployed, like some of the characters and units, will have a resource amount on them. So once you've deployed them to the battlefield, you can tire them or tap them, exhaust them to spend it as a resource. So you're not losing cards from your hand. So you can kind of like build up this engine of cards that'll help you play cards. But what are we doing is we are kind of we're racing to get to the Battle of Waterloo, which will be us competing over these 3 frontier cards. And the races, we each have our own little stack of these objective cards. Like I think there are about 7 objective cards. And that's like a personal like thing you're going to be trying to damage this, get it to have enough damage so that you can say, I've completed this objective, move on. I've completed this objective. So both players are doing that. Like you have your own stack of objectives, and the cards themselves have like 3 stats on them. They have a zeal value, they have a might value, and then they have health. So the health is going to tell you how much damage you can take before you have to destroy that card. But each of the objectives that you're working towards will either be a might objective or a zeal objective, and you'll need to basically have that many strength points to be able to start like kind of damaging it. So you're like deploying these cards on the board to kind of meet your objective. Meanwhile, you're doing some stuff to try to prevent your opponent and slow down your opponent. Like there are event cards that you could put these mire tokens on your opponent, and that basically makes them exhausted for like 2 rounds. And when that happens, they can't use that card's stats towards their objective. So you're not like directly like attacking each other in something like Ashes Reborn, where it's like I'm putting these units out and we're directly attacking each other. You're more so trying to like hinder each other to slow you. I'm slowing you down from completing your objectives and vice versa. And then once you get through your stack of objectives, the last card is the Battle of Waterloo. And once one person gets to that, they can start chipping away at these frontier cards. Again, you're using the zeal value of your cards that are on the board. And then once both players are at the Battle of Waterloo, then you're going to use your zeal and your might on your cards that are deployed. Also, like you can have, when you get certain units in different positions on the board, like if you have infantry units in a 2x2 or cavalry units in a straight line, you can deploy these tactics cards to do something cool to your opponent. Yeah, it has so much going on that's like very thematic. And actually in Ricky Royale's video where he shows how to play this solo, he kind of talks a lot about the history. And I realized after that, like how well it's tied in thematically to like what the cards are doing and the events. All of the cards have like historical text and awesome artwork. So I am a big fan of this game already. Have you got an opportunity to play this one?
Yeah.
Or see it?
I have it because of Ricky Royale, of course. How does that guy not have about 150,000 people following him? I don't know.
He's great.
Because there's very few people I watch. But when I do, you could tell the phony balonies from the people that really care about what they're doing. And Ricky is just one of those guys. We talk here and there pretty much. As a matter of fact, I sent him a game and a statue I painted for him specifically. And because I've just been always so inspired by everything that he's done and his work and the way he does things. And we always said that, if we were in the same country, we'd probably be the best of friends and with each other all the time. And it's tough because I love the guy beyond belief. And the way he makes you play things. And then, I'll get a text, Rob, I hate you. Why, Ricky? You made me go get this. I go, well, I hate you right back because I got this.
You made me get this. Yeah.
And Tristan Hall, nobody really talks about this guy and the games that he does. Have you ever tried Veilwraith?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Go look up Veilwraith on Ricky Royal's channel and watch that card game. Okay. Ooh. It's another card game from All or Nothing. I'm telling you, it will suck you in. The art and everything about it. Boy, if I had it here, I'd pull it out and show you. Not that they can see on the podcast, but the thing is that everything this guy touches is just fantastic. And this is why Ricky talks about it, because he's unbelievable what he has been able to create. I mean, beautiful, historically accurate, flawless gameplay, flawless.
Yeah. One of the other cool things in the game, one player is going to be Britain, one player is going to be France.
Yep.
And there's a way you can play with like a Prussia deck or something like that too. And, there are expansions and stuff. But one of the neat moments in my game was I had an event card. And, we're both playing this. My friend Chris and I are playing this for the first time. We didn't inspect the decks and read every card. So we had that whole thing where you're drawing and look at this event card.
Oh, what does this do?
Yeah, exactly. I had an event that let me cut off the French supply lines. And the way that was brought into the game mechanism was that I, pay my cost to play this event card. I put this card onto his deck, and during the next draw cards phase, he was not able to draw cards. And I already told you the value of cards are so important. And so that was painful, but we were both like, wow, that's really cool how they integrated that into this card game to have that kind of thing. So, and I know there are a bunch of other ones. I think there's a 1066.
1066, something for all mothers. Oh God.
Either way, I want to try more. I want to try more of these games because,
Tears for All Mothers or something like that.
That sounds close. Yeah,
it's close enough. I'm sure you'll get 1,000 email going, oh no, it's
wrong. But I've always thought it'd be really cool to have kind of an LCG war game kind of thing. And this to me does it so well. I love the spatial elements of playing with this grid and how you deploy people and the engine building and the tough hand management decisions. It's just really, really good. And I want to try now all of the games they have in this kind of series. It's just really cool.
You have to, because flawless.
Yeah. And then one quick Ricky Royal story. So I think Ricky Royal originally came onto my radar when I was trying to learn Mage Knight back in the day. Oh. And, people were saying the best videos for how to learn Mage Knight is Ricky Royal's series. And I just remember going to bed late at night, listening to his soothing voice, teaching me, because I would fall asleep listening and watching those videos.
My favorite thing,
which you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have the phone in bed, but
when something would go wrong, oh dear, oh dear, oh no, that wasn't very proper, right? And you're just it's the most devastating thing, and he just makes it seem like, okay, he'll come back from this.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Rob, and again, the title of that game is 1815 Scum of the Earth.
Yeah, it's a must have for anybody that's listening. They will absolutely love that.
And now a word from our sponsor. Prepare yourself. The training will begin and you better be ready for the tournament. Enter the world of the Cobra Kai series through Cobra Kai Road to Victory. In this 2 to 4 player game, you are a sensei and you'll train your students, enter the All Valley Karate Tournament, and give it all you've got, even if you have to sweep the leg. No mercy. Each game round, first you'll draft cards to improve your students' techniques, and then you'll roll dice in tense fights during the iconic All Valley Karate Tournament. During your fights, flashbacks can occur and help you achieve victory. To win, be the sensei who has at least one student left standing after the final round. During the game, you'll find many illusions and iconic elements from the Cobra Kai series produced by Sony Pictures Television in association with Westbrook Entertainment. If you're a fan of the series, or if you enjoy intense drafting and fighting games, you're sure to love Cobra Kai Road to Victory, which is available for purchase exclusively at Walmart. Let's get into our Gen Con 2023 releases that we're stoked to play. I'm very excited to hear your list. I do have one quick honorable mention that I wanted to slide in.
Oh, go ahead, because I kind of cheated.
All right, we have different moments of cheating here. But what the one honorable mention is Race to the Raft. It is by Frank West, and it's I played it at Essen, and that's partially the reason it's not on the list, is because I've actually I played it at Essen. I have it. I backed it on Kickstarter, but it's like in a game in the Isle of Cats world. I don't know if you ever played Isle of Cats.
Yes,
like polyomino kind of drafting game.
What was the other game he did? City of Kings.
Yes, or something. City of
Great
something.
Guy too.
Yeah. It was really cool to meet him and play Race to the Raft with him.
I met him at Origin,
year.
as a matter of fact, when he was just putting together Isle of Cats. And,
nice.
And I filmed it real quick. He had the prototype, and I said, "Well, let me help you out." And I put a video. Nobody watched it, but I did nothing to help him whatsoever. But the intention was there. Great game.
Good intent. Race to the Raft, and I guess like it's the Isle of Cats. I had actually at that 2020 meetup we had in Dallas when I met you, Eric Martin. I'm pretty sure it was then. He had a copy of it, and I played Isle of Cats, and that was the only time I played Isle of Cats. And I liked it, but I wasn't like, oh, this is a game I have to rush out and, I can't wait to play it again. But I thought it was like really cool polyomino puzzle drafting.
Yeah.
Good stuff overall. But just, again, it didn't like super excite me or anything. But when I played Race to the Raft, I was like, wow, this game is really, really cool because it's cooperative and there's some moments of limited communication, and it's still like a polyomino puzzle, and it levels up kind of like something like The Crew. Like when you're playing The Crew, that trick-taking game that's cooperative, and you complete a mission, then we're like, okay, let's go to the next mission. So it's kind of like that, where the rules evolve over time. But there's a moment where at the end of your turn, you have to draw one of these fire tiles, because you're trying to place these polyomino tiles of a certain color and move these cats to safety before the whole like area burns, because you're always having to add these polyomino fire tiles. But when it's your turn to draw one of those fire tiles, none of your teammates can say anything. Like none of the other players, because it's cooperative, can say anything. And you have to make that decision on your own. And sometimes when other people are in that position, you're just like cringing, like, don't put it there, like, or please put it here. And so it was just really neat. And I found the game to be challenging and kind of a different cooperative game. So I'm really excited that I got my Kickstarter copy maybe a week or so ago, and I'm looking forward to digging into that one.
Now that one was off my radar. See? Okay. So, and it's not even the list.
Check it out. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the list yet.
All
right, well, let's start. What's your first game? I'm excited.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little history here, okay? As I normally do, because we talk forever. But you know me pretty well, all right? It's war games. It's a bunch of painted up guys that I'm always playing something like. or miniature games or dungeon crawls, really, really heavy stuff. Recently, there has been a renaissance for your old pal Rob. And it all started with a couple of things that have been sent to me. Okay. Now, I've never played. I've played Scythe from Stonemaier Games. Okay. And I liked it. It wasn't mine, but I wasn't somebody to go out and get viticulture or tapestry or Charterstone.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like that, right? So Jamie had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd like you to take a look at this. We're going to be really showcasing this at Gen Con coming up, and it's going to have a release in September." And it was Expedition.
Oh.
I took a look at this and I was completely blown away by this game. Okay.
Nice.
It made me go out and buy everything for Scythe. Okay. And I started looking more at Stonemaier Games as a whole because of this game. There's a couple things here that really hit home. Okay. Is how smooth the gameplay is. Okay. When you play with someone. When you battle, you don't really battle, which is kind of interesting. How you gather your resources, the theme itself. Okay. You could tell, Jamie is a very special person. And since this game, I've learned a lot about him through his games. How meticulous. Oh, wow.
That's cool.
I mean, if you ever opened up a Stonemaier game, how meticulous is everything, and everything goes and is perfect. And there's just this sense of perfection that he creates. And I fell in love with this game, and it made me start looking differently at games I play. And
that's so cool.
I had gotten the Ironclad edition with the metal minis, and I painted them all up and everything like that. And I sent them
Of course.
Like of course I painted it. But when I played the Automaton, the solo version of it, and how well that played to try to get to the victory points that you're trying to get. Because it's a game about trying to go through and build this engine. It's almost kind of a deck building engine that isn't a deck builder.
Interesting.
And it just creates, you're trying to get all these things going so you can get enough resources to claim certain victory points as you're going through. And all the tiles are hidden. So you have to discover the tiles, okay, and defeat certain things and conquer certain things without needless violence. It doesn't have to be this thing. There is it is something that is smooth and well thought out, and you can feel who he is through this game. And for me, that moved me in a way that it changed how I look at certain things.
Wow.
And there's a couple of games that are on this list, and I know you and I are going to agree on a couple of these things. Because of how I feel about the people behind them, what they represent when they create them. But for me, I've been opened up to a whole different world.
That's awesome.
And that's hard for somebody that's played, I have over 3,000 games. I like some Euro games and stuff like that and things like that. Everdell is one of my favorite work replacement games because it just has this sense of peace. It doesn't have to, sometimes we just have those games that aren't the greatest of a particular thing, but they just say something to us.
Yeah.
And it means something.
They feel good to play. Yeah.
They feel good to play, where people go, well, that game's okay. Well, you don't have to get it. I do.
Right. Yeah. It means something to you.
All right. And squirrels and little rabbits and berries and things like that, and little nature things, and just having this wonderful experience without, okay, we're going to move 500 tanks east and we're going to overcome this weather. And then there's just sometimes I just want to collect some berries and some wood and see if I can build a library.
I love that.
And that's what this opened me up more to, is that there's another world out there in gaming that I'm eager to explore. And that's what this game has done for me. And this is a game, if you get a chance to go by Stonemaier Games, okay?
Yeah, and I think
I'm even going to give the booth number, 2909, okay? All right, okay?
Nice.
I'm giving the booth number too, all right? That you're going to want to go over there and take a look at what Stonemaier Games and what they represent and pick up, because I know they're going to have it there, expeditions, especially if you've played Scythe.
Yeah. I've been kind of curious about this one. So my experience, I got Scythe early on, and I've always loved viticulture just because I love the wine theme.
Yes.
And it's just, that's my Everdell a little bit, where, it's not like one of my absolute favorite games, but I just enjoy it. There's something like pleasant about playing it with some friends and sitting down, having some wine and maybe some cheese and stuff, and just like having a good,
I get it.
And it's a different kind of theme. The first time I played Scythe, it was with 4 players, and I was like, this is cool, but I didn't like love it. Then I played it with 6 players, and I was like, oh, like this is where it was at. Like there was just like a little more interaction on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately I ended up like selling my copy just because I was like, I have way too many games than I can store. And it wasn't one of my like absolute favorites.
Right.
But I am very curious to try Expeditions, and I feel like I've been hearing like really good things about it. So.
I think you need to, because it is a totally different game.
Yeah.
From Scythe, and yet it's considered a sequel because the theme and what it does.
Sure.
But
it plays differently.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's you're on a quest more or less, and it's very fascinating. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Cool. Well, I will definitely check it out and hopefully play it while I'm at Gen Con, because I'm sure we'll have it at the Hot Games room.
Booth 2909. Yeah, I pointed you right in the right direction.
Booth 2909, Expeditions. So the first game I'll bring up that I'm excited about, I've actually been just kind of excited about since last Gen Con when it was previewed at Upper Deck's booth, Upper Deck Entertainment, and that is Legendary Encounters: The Matrix. So
really?
There's not much information out on it. And I just remember I didn't get a chance to actually play it last year because they only had a couple tables demoing it and I couldn't get in. But so I don't know. So don't quote me on anything, but it's a cooperative deck building game and it's based on the Matrix trilogy. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, so players are going to take on the role of Neo and other heroes, and you're trying to save the human race from extinction. But as far as I know, and the thing that kind of excites me about it is that it has a similar system to what they did with Legendary Encounters Alien deck building game, which I really, really love that game. And I don't even love like the Alien movies, but I love how, number one, I love cooperative deck building game is just like super cool to me. But then they had in the Alien game, which I think they have in this game too, is like kind of this like threat track where these like villains are going to come out face down. So you don't see what they are, but they're kind of building up in this queue, and you have to do with them, or you have to deal with them, not do with them. You have to deal with them. And in the Alien game, like you could kind of help other players by passing them a card here and there. And yeah, I like the Matrix. I don't think I saw the last movie, but I like the Matrix as a theme, and I love Alien deck building games. So I'm like, this just seems super cool, and I want to play it. So that is Legendary Encounters.
I didn't expect
Matrix.
that one from you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, because I was
Did you know about this game?
I expected. Here's the plus or minus because we have not talked before this.
Yeah.
I expected at least 2 out of the 5 games that you and I would pick would be the same game.
Okay. I think we still might. We'll see.
I mean, there's a chance, but when you went left field on me,
now you don't know.
Now I don't know. And then I know that I had a couple here that I know you don't even know exist.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right.
But there's one I know that we're going to agree on. All right. So we got that. So now we got to hit 2 out of the next 4.
All right. This is the game within the game here.
The game within the game. Here we go. All right.
All right. What is your next game, Rob?
There is no way that you are going to figure this one out. Okay.
Okay.
So some years ago, there was a game called Small World. You've heard of it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. It was all right. It was okay. At best.
I only played it once. I liked it, but yeah. And
then they came out with a deluxe super edition.
Okay.
Did you ever see that box set? That
I don't think so, but like that's what people do these days.
Yeah. Well, this was years ago. I mean, this thing cost $1,000. Okay.
Wow.
But it changed how you played the game. And you were kind of like, wow, now all of a sudden this game isn't that bad because I've got fancy coins. I've got, sometimes that kind of stuff just really
spruced it up a bit. Up. Yeah.
Now it took a game that I consider a 4 and made it a 6 or 7 because it became very thematic. What happens if you take a game that's basically an 8 and do the same thing? Well, Castle Panic has done something. They have created a deluxe edition. Okay. And what makes this so fantastic? Okay. Castle Panic is a lot of fun, and it could be played.
I actually never played it, by the way.
Oh, you need to. It's a tower defense game. It's fun. It's whimsical. It's not overthinky, but it's something that you could play with kids, or you can have a bunch of adults. You're taking cards. You're going to have a hand of cards, and you are trying to match up colors to stop this invading army that is slowly moving in on your castle. And once it hits the castle, it knocks down the wall. And then if it goes one further and gets to the tower,
you're dead.
Game over. Okay. And you are trying to defend, and you're working together to try to stop that. Well, I've got a green card. I can take care of that section of the board next time and knock a couple guys out. Well, I got the red board.
Sounds cool.
Well. Okay. And there were little chits. Okay. You would pull out the chits and put them on the board. Well, they did it with miniatures. And it is gorgeous. And they have wooden chits that you pull out of the bag now.
Ooh.
So now you don't use the chits. You pull out the miniature and you put the miniature on. And now there is just this sense, and the castle's beautiful. Okay. Because it's all these different things, and they've souped it up to the point where it is just this, it takes a game that is, for some people 7 or 8, and I think it moves it into that 9 range because it makes it more thematic. Because the miniatures are of such a high quality. And they made it where some enemies will take hit points. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as they're moving from section to section, because you're going to turn over cards and it's going to say move whatever's in section blue, 1 space, 2 spaces.
Gotcha.
Okay. It's closing in. We got to concentrate on that. Well, there might be an ogre there that has 2 hit points. So you may hit him once, but you're going to have to hit him again. Well, they made it where they have these little dials on the bottom, and it clicks.
Oh, so you can keep track of their health. Yeah,
instead of turning the chit, so where it goes from 2 to 1.
Gotcha. There's a dial.
Oh, no.
That's cool.
No. So when you see these beautiful miniatures on the board, and it just gives this presence. It's a table presence.
Yeah.
And, we talk a lot about theme. Okay. How do you create theme? Well, sometimes a great story can be told in a game that will give you this incredible theme and get you so pumped up, and you go and you look at the board and you go, yeah, I'm that guy and we're going to do this. And this is what we have to do. And you feel that. This game always had this theme that was just a lot of fun. But when you see the miniatures on that board and they start closing in on you, now it builds up that tension a little bit more, the thematic feel to it. And it just is this thing where you go, this is Castle Panic? No.
What's the booth number, Rob? What's the booth number?
The booth number, might I say, for this game is 24. Let me make sure. Hold on here. 2434. You can go over to Fireside Games and check out their
I want to see this
edition. They come out with a second edition. You could just buy the regular second edition, but they've come out with a wooden edition, and they have come out with the super deluxe edition with everything and all the expansions and different bosses and all these wonderful things. And the plastics are fantastic. It just adds to what is already a very, very good game that you could play with kids that are 5 to my age, ancient, Stone Age.
You are not.
Oh, I am.
Cool. I've never played Castle Panic. All right. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but I've never played Castle Panic, but like that's yes, I'm allowed to cheat. I've never played Castle Panic, but I definitely want to check that out. It sounds really, really nice, and I'm totally on board with, improving the tactile experience of games. And it sounds like that would just be a really cool,
make sure you stop
tension as you see those minis coming at you. Mm-hmm. I'm really, you're surprising me. So
I know,
this is good stuff. And I'm sure everyone listening who doesn't know you well can already tell that you just have this magical way of really making games sound awesome, because I'm like, I'm so excited to play this. I never thought I'd say that about Castle Panic, but I'm genuinely
you got to stop by there and go see them. DeWitt, Jason DeWitt created that.
Okay, cool. Will do. So my next games, notice how I put a little S on that.
Okay, now you got me on the edge.
I'm doing an expansions bundle. So instead of, I'm gonna name just a couple expansions that I'm looking forward to. One of them is the expansion for War of the Ring, the card game. It's called Against the Shadow.
Ooh.
And did you get a chance to play War of the Ring, the card game yet?
No, but I saw that and it was on my radar, but it didn't make my top 5 here.
Okay.
But it's in there.
Yeah, and this is the expansion for it.
Because it adds one player, doesn't it?
It makes it so you can play it solo or cooperatively.
That's what got me.
Yeah, because the base game was designed to be a 2v2, 2 versus 2. But you can play it with 2 players. And I'm kind of curious about this. So while I'm excited to get it, and I'm going to get it because I have the base game and I like it, I'm also like, well, if I want to play something Lord of the Rings solo or cooperatively, I could play the Lord of the Rings the living card game. But I'm still curious to see what Ian Brody did with this. But basically you'll play as the Free Peoples against, they made this AI deck of shadow cards. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some kind of little flow chart that you'll play. So I'm kind of curious about it.
We're both on the same page there.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that one. There's also an expansion for Cosmic Frog from Jim Felly called Find Muck. I love that title.
One of mine.
Is that the overlap? That's one of our overlaps. Okay. So that's Devious Weasel Games. Yeah. Yeah. So Cosmic Frog is just like, it's this like unique, weird little combat game where everybody's playing as a giant frog with special powers, and you have these like psychedelic card art.
And the thing about it is Jim is brilliant. He's actually a scientist, a real life scientist. Okay.
Yeah.
So you take these frogs that are 400 feet tall. Okay.
Something crazy like
up
that.
With this? Yeah. The story is absolutely fantastic. And how they cosmically devour certain areas. And now with this fine muck, they have mental powers. Now, did you ever get a chance to play his other game that, oh God.
The Mirroring of Mary King, or an older one?
No,
the dungeon crawly one. Shadows. Of Malice.
Yes,
Shadow of Malice.
Shadows of Malice.
I have it, and I like learned it at some point. And I was like, "This is so cool," but I never like actually played it.
Go see him. He will give you a copy. Okay.
I have it. No. I bought it at some point. I own it. I just haven't like.
You have to play it. You have to play it. You look at it and you go, okay, what's going on here? And then you start playing it, and how it shows how brilliant this man is.
Yeah.
Because they're just things that happen in it that you go, well, this doesn't look like it would do this, and yet it does this. And Cosmic Frog does the same thing.
Yeah,
it really does. You look at it and you go, and then you play it and you go, whoa, where did this come from? You know?
Yeah. Very, very weird, unique designs. And I actually did a Cardboard Creations interview with Jim for Cosmic Frog. And one of the other new things the expansion adds is this like new chip system for combat. But it's actually, I think, if I recall from the interview, this was something that was this was how the combat was going to work, not with dice. So it's cool that now that this is kind of, we're getting to experience that way as an expansion. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of all things that Jim Felly puts out. They're very unique games, to like just refreshing themes and mechanisms.
I was sitting with Aldi, and this was the last Gen Con I was at. I was there with Aldi, and this is before you came on. And Jim was showing the prototype of this. And he goes, Rob, you got to check out this Cosmic Frog thing. I go, oh, okay. Yeah, all right, Jim. And then I started watching it. And I'll never forget going, what the heck? Where did this come from?
Yeah. Okay, moving on from that, there are two other ones I'll just quickly mention. Okay. One is the Spirit Island Nature Incarnate expansion. I just love Spirit Island. Okay. I've not even played through all the content I do own for Spirit Island, but I still am like, yes, more spirits, new content.
I gotta ask you. Is Spirit Island worth? Now I have it on the computer. I just downloaded it.
Okay, but you haven't played it yet.
I've never played Spirit Island. Is it?
Yes.
You think I should play?
Do it. Fantastic. Get the physical board game. Yes.
Okay, folks. Those of you out there that have heard this, I am going to go get Spirit Island.
Yes. No, you will love it. And you can play it solo, and it's challenging, and the card play is so good. Yes, Rob, go do it.
Okay.
Do it.
If you say
right
so,
now, let's pause the podcast to go.
You and I are pinky buddies. You know that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to tell Liz out there, yes, Liz, you're part of the trio here. You always have been. Don't get jealous. Don't get jelly.
Love Liz.
Miss Davidson.
And then the last one is the expansion for Iki, Akebono. Which Iki is, well, first of all, this expansion is, I think it dropped like this month in July, so just ahead of Gen Con, but I don't think many people have it yet. I actually just got a review copy of it, and haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. But it's published by Sorry We Are French, and in the US, Hachette. Yes.
Okay.
And Iki was a game that I was interested in years ago because I found I discovered it, but it was like out of print. I'm like, oh, I'll never get this game because I don't want to pay $300. But then they made the reprint, and I finally got to try the new edition of it at BGG Spring because it was like up for the Kennerspiel des Jahres.
Yes.
And I loved it. And I really am excited to see the expansion like adds a new location like the bridge of Nihonbashi, and so it's like giving you a new location you can move to. You players can build ships and you can trade with these ships, and it also just adds a couple like more character cards, more building cards, like more content that I think, but nothing like overwhelming, like not an overwhelming amount of new content, but just like enough that I think it's going to spice it up. So I'm like really looking forward to playing that as well. Okay. So that'll conclude my expansions bundle,
which is cheating, but that's okay.
Yep, my little cheat there. What is your next game? And that was our first overlap. Find Muck.
Yeah, that's true, and it was an expansion too. That means I get to squeeze something else in. Okay.
Yes.
So we can go here. This game really caught me off guard. I'm saving the last two because I know this one I have it right in front of me, is an overlap. It has to be. There's just no way that, and the way I always do this, I never go by demos at Gen Con because they could be demoing the same game next year too.
Right.
I always try to find something that's going to be out a month or has been out either a month prior to Gen Con.
Okay.
Within that little quarter range. Okay. So I've always been interested in Catacombs. The flicky.
Oh, the flick game.
The flick game,
yeah.
Right?
I played that once.
From
years
Elzara
ago.
Games. Okay. And I had it. I never played it or anything like that. But I saw that they were coming out with something else. And I went, oh, and the name of the game is Monster Pit.
Monster Pit.
Okay. Well, let me finish here. I said, oh, this must be another one of those dexterity games because I do like to play dexterity games. Mm-hmm. Like a game I really like is they have this game. I really suggest that you get it, and I'll have the guy send you a copy. It's called Table Golf Association.
I feel like I have heard of this. I haven't tried it.
Check out the video. You know my tiger. He does the intro and all. You know how stupid.
Yeah.
But it plays like real golf. But it's so much fun to play with a bunch of people because you're flicking a little disc and you're trying. And each disc, if it's a sand pit, you're going to get a penalty and you have to hit with another hand.
That sounds fun.
Representing these are your clubs. So even if you don't like golf, it's fun. It's like playing mini golf in a way.
Cool.
So I've always liked different types of dexterity games, pitch car and stuff like that. So I figured, this Monster Pit has to be a dexterity game. And I love dexterity. No.
It's not?
No. It is a deck building type of game where it's a tower defense type of game where you have this monster and he has a certain power. Now you can play this solo or you can play it with a bunch of people and it works really well. You are a particular hero. Okay. And you are going to have a number of dice and you can only have up to 8 dice. Okay. Which is going to help you with your rolls because when you roll those dice, they're going to give you certain things that you're going to be able to go to and you're going to be able to move your character. And maybe I want to go to the town hall and hire some fighters or stuff like that. Okay.
Okay.
Those guys are going to give me certain abilities and extra dice. The dice are broken up into yellow, white, yellow, and red. And they vary in strength. Okay. Some have more swords on them. Let's just call them swords.
Okay.
Then they do have dragon heads. Now the red dragon, the red dice has a lot of dragon heads on it. Well, guess what the monster gets to use? The red dice.
What?
He doesn't want to get the white dice, which are the most powerful. He wants to get the red dice so he can roll more. And when he rolls, he's going to do certain abilities depending on the amount of dragon heads that you get. So he starts at one space and he has to circle the entire board and get to your gate. And once he gets to your gate and gets in, he wins the game.
Wow. Okay.
And the cool thing about it is you try to push him back. Sometimes he gets, instead of moving 5 spaces, he gets to move 10. So now you're in a rush to try to do things and get more dice to prevent him from going so you can build up things and take his hit points down so you can kill him before he gets to the gate. You want to hire wizards and stuff like this. But when he rolls some of those things, he's going to knock off the people that you have that are giving you dice, so your dice go down.
Oh, no.
Right. And you're like, okay, now I've got to go back and I got to scramble and pray that I can get through this one round. And he's just creeping. And it happens so fast. And it is just this game that is so much fun and does so many different things. I saw somebody write, well, the dice, or make it too random. Well, that's what dice do. I want it to be random. Okay.
Yeah.
And it just adds that element of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the things that I want to do. Can I hold on to this guy that's given me 3 dice in the fighting? Or do I build up my defense where I can deflect certain things that he's going to do to me? And there's this weird balance that you try to create. And there's different heroes. There's different, it's beautiful. The art's fantastic. And it's something so out of the ordinary by this fantastic, wonderful company that I think for years have just kind of played it safe with Catacombs and with another expansion, that they've expanded out and they've proven what I always believe that they can do is just make great games. Which they always have.
Cool.
And this is something a lot of fun that you are going to want to check out. And they are at booth.
I love it.
I know. They are at booth 336.
336.
Okay? And they're stuffed in a corner somewhere, but go over and see them and talk about Monster Pit. Let them show it to you. The components are beautiful. You're going to get these certain, there's gems and stuff like that you're going to get that are going to give you certain powers and things like that. And it's fantastic.
Sounds cool.
It is.
Monster Pit. Okay, so I think my next game is going to maybe surprise you. We'll see. The next game on my list is Sky Team. Have you heard of Sky Team yet?
No. Okay. Now you got me. You got me.
Okay. So Sky Team is a cooperative 2-player game. It's published by Les Scorpion Mask. I think they're the ones that did like Decrypto and Turing Machine, I believe. And it's designed by Luke Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, Rob, a 2-player only cooperative game that's also a limited communication game where if you and I are playing this together, one of us is a pilot, the other is a co-pilot, and we are working together to land an airplane in different airports around the world. And my friend, I don't know if you know Erica Boyeris, the game designer.
Yes.
She brought it up on episode 19 of this podcast that she had played it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been just like really curious and excited to play this game ever since, because it just sounds like so different. Like we can't talk to each other, but we're playing these dice to try to maneuver an airplane to land it. And it just sounds so different. And that's why I'm excited to pick this one up.
Okay.
Sky Team, it's called.
All
yeah.
Right. Well, you caught me off guard with that one.
That's what I was trying to do.
Okay. Now, I've been going in order, and I'm going higher and higher and higher. Okay.
I know.
Games I'm excited about.
Okay.
This one, I know for a fact that we have to be locked in on this one. Okay.
Okay.
I'm betting the farm on this.
Yeah, because I only have 2 more.
I know.
I only have 2 more to talk about. So we'll
Fine
see.
Muck was one. And this is the other one that I knew that we would hit on together. Okay.
Okay. I'm in suspense.
This is one of the most fantastic companies that have, I got to get the big build up, right?
I love it. Yeah.
I got to
keep the suspense going.
Listen, I got a channel, so I talk. You know that. You should know that by now.
Rob is a talker and a wonderful person to talk with.
But this company is very special to me because of the people that have done this company, and they've done it all themselves. Okay. They don't mass market. They do everything themselves, and they are some of the most brilliant people that have ever walked the face of the earth. This game, every game that they've ever made is in my top 10 games of all time. Okay? Because of how incredible they are.
Oh, I know what you're talking about here.
And I have just recently received the latest edition of their game and continuing this unbelievable story. And I'm even going to let you say it.
It's Too Many Bones, right?
You are right. Unbreakable. See? What a build-up, huh?
So that was a
how many copies did I just sell?
Build-up.
How many copies did I just sell?
So, but I don't have this on my list because I didn't I didn't consider this a Gen Con release. It wasn't like because I guess it was Kickstarter but I guess I didn't think that this was like a Gen Con release. Otherwise, it would for sure be on my list.
They're going to have them actually at Gen Con for the first time. I always see every year.
I made a mistake then, Rob.
Huh?
I made a mistake.
No, that's
I said I made a mistake then. And I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Well, the reason I put this here is because, every Gen Con, they go, hey, here it is. Okay. You Kickstarted this, and then they make it available to the public at that point. And they're going to have a ton of these there. Okay. Have you had the chance to play this yet?
I haven't played Unbreakable yet.
Okay. The story, the theme, how they've built to this beautiful conclusion, okay, where the head Gearlock gets killed, okay, and now they are going after Dominia, okay, and you know how nasty she has been in the past.
Yeah.
And now we have these new characters that they've introduced, and they do different things. And this has always been a game, and one of my top favorite games of all time. And we've played it together on my channel.
On your channel,
and we had such a wonderful time doing it because you just get so wrapped up into this. Mm-hmm. It's how do we get
so good?
It's facing impossible odds. And how do you overcome that? It's the true measure of what a hero is. This is why Superman is not a great hero, because he doesn't have villains that take him to the limits. Okay? In Unbreakable, the Gearlocks are always facing things that are beyond what their capabilities are. And how you figure out to survive those situations really make the Gearlocks heroic, and you feel for them. And that's how these games have always progressed for me, because when you think, whew, boy, we just got through that, and then you go a little farther on that path.
Yeah.
You go a little farther, and then you turn over that card. Oh, no. Oh, no, not again.
Yeah.
And you would normally you would just be, oh, man, this is too much. No, we're going to find a way. And it's just one of those experiences that's beautiful. If you remember, Undertow introduced water as a main component.
Yes, the Raft.
Unbreakable introduces lava. Okay, and the
caves, that's
and,
awesome.
And it does some really unique things. I don't want to ruin anything for you.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, if you get a chance to go buy booth 2719
Chip Theory Games.
Which you know they're going to debut, and that thing is going to be pimped out beyond belief. And when you walk in there, you feel the games that they have. You feel, Cloudspire, which
Hoplomachus Victorum,
the remastered edition.
Yeah,
like I said, Cloudspire, and one of my
Too Many Bones, Hoplomachus, Elder Scrolls,
Burn Cycle.
Yes.
Burn Cycle.
Yeah.
Another one of those and the components are through the roof. Okay.
Yeah.
Which just adds to this because, you would think that you would get a cardboard edition of this and then this would be the special edition. Oh, well, not so fast, my friend.
This is the edition.
This is the edition. And this is what they do.
Everything is deluxe.
I have the treasure trove. Okay.
Oh, yeah. The trove chest is so legit.
It is so
Keeps it all organized.
And you just sit there and sometimes you just
it looks great.
At it.
Yeah. It's a work of art itself.
Yeah. And that's what these guys are about. Because if you really think about every game that they've done, they've told a story. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whether it's unbelievable battles of heroic gladiator, stories or cities in the sky or these fantastic gearlocks.
They're all so different and so thematic and they play like uniquely. Oh yeah.
Well, what has come from their minds is unbelievable. And I'll tell you, it is something beyond anything. And Unbreakable just continues in the long string of successes by a fantastic company.
Yeah. So and a lot of my list was kind of stemmed from what was on the BGG Gen Con preview list. And I don't know if this was on there. Unless my filtering, I don't know, but I definitely missed this.
See,
and it would have been on my list.
I went from that.
Okay. It 100% would have been on my list because I have geeked out about Too Many Bones many times on this podcast. And and just a lot of Chip Theory games, they do such great stuff. I can't wait to go and meet with them and see some new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely you're gonna love it. All right. Well, now it's on.
Okay, so now I'm wondering if we're gonna have any crossovers.
I don't think so because I have something that I discovered recently, and I wrote the company and I asked them to send it to me. And when I took a look at it, blown away.
Okay, I love that. I love that little trailer, that little suspense nugget that Rob just dropped.
Okay.
So my the next game on my list, so I have two more. This game is a new version of an older, maybe I guess is kind of a classic. And it is, okay, I'll just stop dancing around. Age of Innovation, the new version of Terra Mystica, by Helge Ostertag and Fjorlandspiel and Capstone are bringing it out. 1 to 5 players. It is a fresh take on Terra Mystica, which is a game that's been around since 2012.
Yeah.
Did you miss this one, or are you not?
I didn't. I love Terra Mystica, but I didn't know they were doing a reimagination of it. So there you go.
See, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, Rob.
That's why I have a podcast. That's why I have a podcast.
But like I love Terra Mystica. It's not I haven't played it in a while, but like it's one of those games that when I first played it that I would play, we were playing it every week. Like we're just like, let's pick new characters and play it. And that doesn't often happen, especially with like how many new games are coming out even before I was like working with BGG and everything. Like I just, there aren't always a lot of games like that. This one and the next game I mentioned will be related in that way. But I've never I've only played Gaia Project once, but I know that a lot of people find that there are some things that Gaia Project improved over Terra Mystica. Mm-hmm. But I always just appreciated the Terra Mystica theme better, the more fantasy theme. And I think Age of Innovation kind of takes some of the improvements of Gaia Project but adds all these other improvements. Like it has a ton of variability. Like you're going to be able to, instead of just getting like picking your faction and that faction kind of having its set homeland, and like you have this like these faction tiles that you can mix and match with player boards to have different combinations of abilities and homelands. It also has these innovation tiles that you can get to add to your faction to make them even more unique. And it sounds like there are going to be a bunch of them and they kind of come out randomly. So like lots of variety. A lot of this I'm picking up from, I watched Man vs. Meeple has like an excellent preview video out for this game. And that got me like, I was already like, when I saw a kind of prototype of this at Gen Con in 2022, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting that. Like I'm getting that for sure. But like after then I like looked into it a little bit more and watched this Man vs. Meeple video, I'm even more pumped because it's like, here it is, a game that I already love and loved, but now it has all this, like it's been reimagined with, over 10 years later with like all this variability and like these things that are going to just like make it better. Hopefully. But yeah, it just, I feel like they're like, I definitely love heavy games, and often I don't find, especially being that like I'm doing news and I'm getting to try a lot of stuff and seeing a lot of stuff, I'm sometimes like, yeah, that's cool. I'll probably play it once and like, then move on after I played it like 3 times or whatever. Like, but this, I already love Terra Mystica.
Right.
So it's like, you're giving me like a better version of this game, that has a little more to offer, some like differences, like the tracks work a little differently. I'm excited about that. So yeah, so that's why Age of Innovation is on my list. And yeah, if you are a fan of Terra Mystica, you'll probably want to check this out. I don't know the booth number, but it's Capstone Games.
No, I'm gonna check it out because I love Terra Mystica. I remember when it came out.
Solo mode too, Rob. Solo mode,
which Terra Mystica had too, with the original expansion.
Yeah, exactly. And this is kind of like built into it. So,
count me in.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
You got me.
All right. What is your last game that you were just hyping up?
All right. So this is something I just never expected, but it caught me. It caught my. I was going through the list of BGG, and I go, well, what's coming out at Gen Con? All right. Mm-hmm. And I took a look, and I saw this game, and I don't know if you ever played the Red Dragon Inn.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I remember, like, I don't know much about it, but I've heard the title.
Let me tell you a little bit about it, and you'll see why I never really played it much. It is a game that, it's, you go into this tavern and you're drinking and you're going to do things against people and you try to get them and eliminate them. And it's kind of a take that card game.
Okay.
And
okay.
Where they would be fun and everything, that's fine. Okay. And for me, I don't have that many people to play that type of game. So slugfest games, I just kind of, okay, whatever. All right.
Yep. Gotcha.
A little later, they came out with another game, but this was more of an adventure card game. And I got it. And there was a way that you could play solo, and I enjoyed it. I picked it up and I really, really enjoyed it. So I looked and I said, oh, yeah, what's this? Well, they have come out with a game that is a dungeon crawl. And I went, what? I go, and it's called Tales of the Red Dragon Inn.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to take a look at it, and I wrote them, and I said, something just looks kind of interesting. If you want,
like
I'd like to take a look at it for my Gen Con preview. Sure, Rob, we'll send you a copy. Thank you. I got it here. I opened it up. And it does a couple of things that I think is the future of how things should be done. The biggest problems with a lot of Kickstarter games or dungeon crawls is that you have your heroes, and then you have 900 other plastic pieces that you have to paint or are just gray plastic, and you don't get the feel of it. Okay? Because if you don't paint it, it doesn't build that theme. Well, what they do is they give you the miniatures, which they've never done miniatures before, at least as far as I know, are your heroes. 8 heroes. Painted those up in no time at all. Okay? And they are beautiful miniatures. But all your enemies are standees. Okay?
Okay.
And I think that is a smart way to go forward with games. Because a lot of people that want to do these dungeon crawls don't want to get these Kickstarters where they pay $400, $500 and have an expansion with this board. I don't even mind if you give me a plastic.
It's too much sometimes.
It's too much. But if you have standees or those acrylic standees, you still get the feel because your character is who you care about. That's the guy that you want to take through this dungeon. Now you're thinking, okay, just your run-of-the-mill dungeon crawl. Oh, no. No. You're going to take a party down, or you can go down solo, okay? And you go down, and they have these maps, and it says specifically on there, do not look past this point. Because it tells a story.
Cool.
That is replayable, and you can do different things. Now, you can start with a certain character, and if you level that character up and you want to change a character, well, that character goes to that level and gets those certain amount of cards. What makes it really good and not overthinky dungeon crawl is that it's very simple in its mechanics. Okay. And still has that Red Dragon Inn feel because those characters are part of all the other games. And it's the art is beautiful. The enemies are tremendous and smart. And what you do is when you lay out this map, all the information you need for the enemies is on the right side of the map. So they have a picture, and you're going to roll a die and decide that's what's going to decide what they do.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now there may be some enemies on there that you don't see till you get to the next section of that map on the same map. Okay.
Oh,
the first,
yeah.
Just to give you a little background about it, because I'm going to go into this because you have to go check this out at Slugfest Games booth 1219. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And, we'll give everything here. The thing that really just drew me in was the fact that the story, the background, the feel, and how easily it was to just out of the box open it up, and it teaches you how to do it. The first one is you go down into the basement because a training robot down in the cellar has gone haywire. So now all the training robots are coming at you, and you have to get to that main robot and shut it down some way, somehow. That is your objective, and you have to survive. Everybody has to survive to get there to stop that.
Gotcha.
Okay. And there's like an ogre that's down there that you have to deal with, and you're rolling dice. Okay. And you can use certain certain powers. You have 3 powers to start with. But when you use that ability, you are going to put these time capsules on there. And at the beginning of every turn, you take one off. So it's going to take you a while to get that ability.
Oh,
you have to be
gotcha.
smart how you use your abilities. You have your standard fighting ability, but when do you pull the trigger on using something? Because here's the problem. You really don't know when you're going to face something and what type of powers it's going to have.
Gotcha.
So there's this depth and strategy that you would never expect from a company that made a party game, more or less.
Right.
And they made this fantastic, unbelievable dungeon crawl that is the sleeper of Gen Con.
Wow.
I really believe where I know what I'm going to get when I go to Too Many Bones and Unbreakable. But you don't know what you're getting when you go and get Tales of the Red Dragon Inn, because there is a massive story there. And I haven't even scratched the surface of it. And it's just,
but you're already like really excited by it. Yeah.
Maybe 80 hours worth of game there. What more do you want?
So cool.
What more do you want in a game to get that fulfilling everything out? And some of the decisions you make doesn't mean that that's going to be, you could the replayability is there to find out if you made a different decision. So there's a lot there. A lot.
I love like that. That sounds exciting. And I love the story and the kind of exploration of, not necessarily
I don't even know
what's
who's
coming when you play
thing.
Different maps.
I don't even know who's because I have to uncover it and experience it. And to come up with something like that is just glorious.
Cool. This is another one that's
$12.19. Go check it out.
This is another one that I'll have to check out. Definitely something I'll have to check out that was not on my radar.
I'm telling you. I know you're not a big dungeon crawl person.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you take a look at this, you'll see what I'm talking about, where it's more about the story.
Yeah, and I think I like dungeon crawlers, but I just don't have that much experience with them yet,
This is the perfect entry type of... It's an entry-level dungeon crawl with something for everyone. And that's why I believe that this game should be the sleeper of Gen Con. I really, really do. I'm putting my dice behind it.
Nice. Well, my next game is definitely not a sleeper of Gen Con.
Okay.
And it's probably not going to surprise many people if you know me, but it is Great Western Trail New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah. I am a big, big, big fan of Great Western Trail. It is like, I'm pretty sure it is the first like heavy game that I played, and so it has, you were talking about Everdell and having some feelings tied to it that were, this game has, it kind of kickstarted me into gaming in a really different way. And the first time I played Great Western Trail, I'd only been playing like King of Tokyo and Splendor and very light games, but I was still discovering like, all these cool games out here. And it just rocked my brain like nothing had ever had for the first time. And it went completely over my head, but I went home and bought it. And I still I'm not great at it, but I love it's hard to say if it is my favorite Alexander Pfister game. I think it might be, probably, but I also like the Sky Mines / Mombasa a lot. But yeah, there's just like something really special about Great Western Trail. I also I love deck building. So it's like you're bringing in deck building with this like very strategic Euro game that has multiple paths of victory kind of presented in such a cool way. But this new version, this is going to complete the trilogy. Last year we got Argentina, which I loved. I loved what it added to the base game. To me, they felt like two different beasts. And I think this one is going to, from what I know so far, is going to be even more different, even more refreshing. Back in March, I met with Isabel from Plan B Games, and she gave me kind of a rundown of here's some of the changes. And then I also got to take a sneak peek at the rule book. And, first of all, the adorable sheep cards instead of cattle already had me smitten. I was just like, look at these sheep, the sheep, the whole look of the game.
You can always come to the farm and see the real sheep.
I'm going to. Next time I'm in Florida, I'm definitely going to, assuming I'm near you, I'm going to definitely stop by. But the sheep cards now, in addition to having a breeding value like the cattle cards had, they have a wool value. So you have two different ways that you can kind of do deliveries in the game. The deck building is a lot different because there are now, instead of just mainly just building your deck with cattle cards and objective cards that occasionally get dropped in there, you have different types of cards you can add to your deck. And then there are these different bonus sets that you'll play with, that add some variability. So the deck building is going to be completely fresh in this version. One of the craziest changes is there are no engineers, there are no trains, and there are no train stations, which is wild. Instead, you have this sea routes board where you're going to be sailing your ship around to hit different harbors, kind of in the way that you would unlock discs by placing train stations out. The foresight area where you would place new workers out, or where you'd be able to grab workers from, is completely different, and it's reimagined. And the way the game ends, the trigger for the ending is different. There's also this thing that happens midway through the game where how you have these neutral building tiles on the board.
Right.
Well, half of them are going to flip over and change midway through the game, and there'll be different action spaces. And then there's this Pathfinder track that you can kind of work your way up to unlock other benefits. So this one feels even more different than Argentina felt from the base game. Plus, the sheep, the look of it, it's greener and more lush looking. And then the seaboard kind of reminds me of the Rails to the North expansion that you tacked on to the top of the board. But yeah, I just, and I guess you probably maybe didn't know this about me, but Great Western Trail is near and dear to my heart. And I was excited when this trilogy was announced. I was excited when I got my hands on Argentina, and now I am so excited to play Great Western Trail New Zealand. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I'm just Alexander Pfister fangirl here. Just love Great Western Trail. So any new twists on it, I am here for it. I can't wait to play it. So
that's awesome.
That is my number one game that I'm excited for, which is it's not a new game, because it's another kind of re-implementation, but still, I already know I love what the base game was. So here we go.
That's
so
cool.
I'm excited to see how the new deck building feels, and the seaboard. No trains. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. But I'm glad. I'm actually kind of surprised that Find Muck was our one crossover, but I'm glad that we didn't have.
It was only
others
because of a technicality.
Yeah, it was a technicality. That we would have had one more.
Not see that Unbreakable was there. And
shame on me.
I'm gonna ask Chip Theory to forgive you, because I know how much
do.
You love them and everything like that. And I just hope they don't take it very personally.
I hope they will. Yeah, I hope they will forgive me.
Yes, and I think you should just go there and beg for forgiveness before you even get into the booth.
I do have a meeting. I do have a 2-hour session scheduled with them that I'm excited about.
Well, there you go. And I think an hour and 45 minutes of it is going to be begging forgiveness that you did not mention them on this thing. Or hopefully it's on Thursday before this podcast lands on Friday.
Before the podcast drops. And unfortunately, I don't think it is.
Oh.
So. But they'll be too busy at the con to even notice this little slip up on my part.
I'm texting them right now.
Rob, it has been so fantastic talking to you. I love talking to you. I wish we lived closer so that we could actually play games more regularly.
I know. But we have to take time and talk to each other a little bit more going forward.
Yeah.
Life's too short. And
absolutely.
I always say this, and I want you to remember that tomorrows are never guaranteed. Okay?
That's right.
So let's make the most of what we can when we get together. And that's the most important.
And 2024 is going to be our year.
There you go.
2024. We're gonna connect in person somewhere and play some board games and hang out together.
It. I promise you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Rob.
You are welcome.
You've been listening to the Board Game Geek podcast, produced and edited by Candice Harris. Special thanks to Matt Fonda for editing and mixing our music. Be sure to visit us on the web at BoardGameGeek.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch under Board Game Geek. You can reach us by email at podcast@BoardGameGeek.com. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming!